I had been married to Adam for 3 years when his young secretary, Lily, sent photos of the two of them in bed straight to my phone. Without changing my expression, I forwarded the photos to my attorney. Very quickly, he sent back all the documents already organized. After reading through everything, I didn't hesitate at all, as I signed my name on the divorce petition. At the same time, I called Adam, but the person who answered was a sweet female voice. "Mr. Adam isn't available to take the call right now. If there's anything you need, I can pass the message along," she said. So I hung up, took the chance to send over the signed divorce agreement and the lawsuit documents, and after receiving another provocative message from Lily, I finally breathed a sigh of relief. This marriage was finally coming to an end. Both my family and Adam's family were in business and had some assets, but our marriage wasn't a business arrangement. It was childhood love. From school uniforms to a wedding dress, we were considered a perfect match in everyone's eyes. It wasn't surprising that everyone adored Adam. Our families had been close for generations, and our mothers were best friends. I heard that when I was still in my mother's belly, they had already wanted to arrange an engagement for us. Both of our names carried the meaning of a promise. After I was born, I was almost always with Adam. From a babbling toddler, learning to speak, to the fresh, green years of my adolescence, my life was filled with him. He was 2 months older than me and had always acted like the grown-up, insisting he was my big brother. On my first day of kindergarten, he held my hand and led me into the unfamiliar classroom. I was so scared my tears rolled down like little golden beans. Little Adam patiently comforted me, gave me candy, and even sang to me. Later, in elementary school, every time I did poorly on a test and felt miserable, he was the one who brought me my favorite candy, comforted me, and helped me correct my mistakes. In middle school, when I got my first period and stained my skirt, I sat there embarrassed and upset, not knowing what to do. And once again, it was Adam who ran to the supermarket to buy pads for me. I didn't know how he asked the clerk, but when he came back, he wasn't just carrying pads. He also had heating patches and a bottle of brown sugar water. When he handed everything to me, his face was burning red. I couldn't help teasing him. "Adam, your face is so red." "It's not. You're imagining it," he muttered as he lifted one hand to cover his face while using the other to shove the items into my hands. He also took off his uniform jacket and handed it to me. After I cleaned up and walked outside wearing his jacket, Adam was waiting for me. "Nora, does your stomach hurt?" I asked the clerk, and she said girls will get stomach aches at times like this. He watched my expression carefully, and when he saw me nod, he panicked. "Then let me carry you to the hospital." His flustered look made my face warm. "No, it's fine. It doesn't hurt that much. I just need to rest at home," I said. So Adam crouched down and let me climb onto his back. Under the curious stares of people around us, he carried me home. The sun was bright that day. Even now, I still remember the warmth of sunlight on us and the bright red tips of that boy's ears. Leaning close to his ear, I whispered, "Thank you, Adam." His neck instantly turned red too. He tightened his grip and walked even faster. Lying on his back, I couldn't stop giggling. After starting middle school, I wasn't like before anymore. I stopped chasing after him, calling him Big Brother, and started calling him by his name instead. Normally, no matter how he coaxed me, I refused to change. I had never expected that now, with just one Adam, his face would flush so hard. It was honestly amusing, but I didn't realize that my own face wasn't any less red than his. That day, the blushing boy and girl lit up the colors of youth. The trembling feelings of first love were truly beautiful, sweet and innocent. Those feelings lasted throughout our entire adolescence. It wasn't until we were in high school at 18 that things changed. For my 18th birthday, Adam invited our whole class to celebrate. He dressed neatly, wearing the little bear-shaped pin I had given him, and his hair was combed perfectly in place. He was usually calm and composed, but when he stood in front of me holding a bouquet of roses, he stammered, "Nora, I like you. Will you be my girlfriend?" I nodded with tears in my eyes and threw myself into his arms. Surrounded by our classmates' blessings, we hugged and kissed. In that moment, the love I had for him felt like it had reached its peak. Later on, he told me that even though we had always had feelings for each other, Dating was different from being childhood sweethearts. Dating required a sense of ceremony, and a confession had to begin with a bouquet of flowers. That was why he chose that special birthday of mine to officially confess and turn our relationship into one of lovers. 12th grade was exhausting, but with Adam beside me, everything felt sweet. We worked hard together, studied together, and watched our grades climb higher after every exam. Eventually, we both got into the same university. With the backgrounds of our families, both of us should have chosen finance so we could easily join the family businesses and eventually take over. But I preferred mathematics, so after both families discussed it, I enrolled in the math program while Adam majored in finance. At the time, he told me, "Nora, you just need to do what you love. I'll work hard and protect you for the rest of your life." I believed him, and so did my parents. After all, they had watched Adam grow up. They had long decided that someday, when they were gone, they would hand everything in our family over to their son-in-law so he could continue protecting their daughter. Knock, knock, knock. There was a knock at the door. My housekeeper, Mrs. Chen, came in and said, "Miss, everything has been packed. Mr. Lee is waiting downstairs." "All right, let's go." Mrs. Chen and Mr. Lee were the people who had watched me grow up. After I married Adam, they moved with me to our new home to take care of my daily life. A year ago, I told them to slowly start packing up my belongings in this house. Mrs. Chen didn't understand why I asked that, but she treated me like her own daughter and followed my instructions, packing everything with her own hands without ever asking anyone else to do it. She didn't say a single word, not even to Adam. And today, all that remained in this house were a few closets filled with clothes. They were all clothes Adam had bought for me. I didn't want to take any of them. Maybe that was why Adam hadn't noticed over the past year that almost all of my belongings had slowly disappeared. After we officially became a couple, our parents bought us a villa in a neighborhood close to both companies to be our newlywed home. I had lived there for 3 years. Everything in that place had been purchased by Adam and me, but the feelings I once had for it had faded completely. Without hesitation, I stepped outside. At the door, Mr. Lee had already loaded my suitcases into the trunk. Behind him were several other vehicles. These belonged to the cleaning company I had hired. After I left, they would enter the villa and clean everything out. They were very professional. It would take them only 1 day to erase all traces of my presence. Tomorrow, the villa would be listed for sale by the agent at a low price. A buyer had already been found. They were simply waiting for the cleaning to finish so they could move in immediately. While we were on the way, my phone rang. It was Adam. "Nora, did you call me earlier?" I didn't say anything. "Sorry, I was busy and didn't see it." "Don't be mad, honey. I won't do it again." Adam's voice was still as clear as ever, filled with affection. Whenever he talked to me, it was always sticky sweet. We had only been married for 3 years, and Adam was only 25, young and talented. He really was the kind of golden son-in-law wealthy families dreamed of, the one many rich households would envy. Too bad someone like me, a girl who matched his background, had gotten to him first. Maybe that was why he fit the image of the domineering CEO that so many girls fantasized about. "Nora, why aren't you saying anything?" he asked. "Did you see the message I sent you?" I asked back. It seemed like Adam checked his phone again, sounding confused. "I don't see any message. What did you send?" Of course, the message had been deleted by his secretary. I let out a soft laugh and changed the subject. "When are you coming home?" This time, Adam was supposedly on a business trip in a nearby city for a major project. It was expected to last 1 week, but he was already 2 days late. "There were some issues with the project, so I have to stay 2 more days, he said, almost whining. "I miss you so much. I just want to fly home and hold my Nora." I didn't comfort him the way I usually did. I simply smiled lightly. "When you come back, there'll be a surprise waiting." "All right, Nora, you're the best," he said happily. After a few more casual lines, I hung up. While I was talking to Adam, Lily sent me a few more photos. In them, Adam was leaning against the headboard, talking on the phone, wearing a loosely draped bathrobe. His expression was gentle, and his mouth was forming tender, affectionate words as if he were deeply in love. There were also 2 plane tickets in the photos, tickets to a famous tourist attraction. All of it made one thing very clear. Adam wasn't busy with any project. He was enjoying intimacy with Lily and preparing to go on a sweet vacation with her. I didn't respond to her. To me, she had already served her purpose. I had sent that message earlier on purpose. I knew she would delete it, just like before. Every time she provoked me, she would conveniently delete my call logs to Adam as well. She believed she finally had a chance to take the place of the legal wife. She thought that by deleting the message, Adam wouldn't know I had already signed the divorce agreement and filed the lawsuit. She thought that once the court voided our marriage, she could pretend she knew nothing and slide into my place. But she didn't know she wasn't the first woman to provoke me. I had even forgotten who the first one was. Maybe one of Adam's juniors from his department during our second year of marriage, or one of the countless interns at the company. But back then, Adam had only been flirtatious. Nothing had really progressed. Lily was the most successful one. She had managed to stay involved with Adam for more than half a year and had finally achieved her goal of climbing into his bed. I looked at the social media posts she had clearly uploaded for me to see, showing off expensive gifts. All I felt was amusement. I wondered if she understood that I could legally demand all of those back. Naturally, I had already instructed my attorney to prepare lawsuits, from the first woman to Lily now. Every cent Adam had spent on them, I would collect. They were the ones handing me the evidence. I didn't understand how they could be so arrogant. They thought that by sending me these things, they could provoke me, that I would be angry, I would break down, I would cause a scene. Instead, I simply kept the evidence and allowed these girls who knowingly went after a married man to pay the price for their actions. Of course, the man who couldn't control himself was the most contemptible. Those girls wanted his money, wanted to be rich, but went about it the wrong way. And Adam, failing to stay loyal and betraying our marriage, was even more unforgivable. My parents were already waiting for me at home. When my mother saw the large suitcases in the car, she looked shocked. "Nora, what are you doing? Why are you bringing so much luggage?" "Mom, I divorced Adam," I said. My parents froze on the spot, thinking I was joking. "Nora, what's wrong with you? Why would you want to divorce Adam?" My mother asked as she reached out to touch my forehead. She pulled me inside, and I held her hand as we walked into the living room. My father told the house staff to leave. "Nora, what's going on?" he asked anxiously. He knew that even though I'd always been a bit spoiled, I had never once acted impulsively. I placed the stack of printed documents on the table in front of them. They opened them with puzzled expressions, and as they continued reading, their faces darkened. When they reached the last few photos, my father slammed the documents onto the floor in fury. "That damn brat dared to cheat? He thinks he can do whatever he wants? I'll make sure the Harts give my daughter an explanation." My mother was equally horrified. She grabbed my hand tightly, tears falling non-stop. "Nora, I didn't know you were suffering this much. If I had known Adam would turn out like this, I never would have let you stay with him." Adam was someone they had watched grow up, someone they thought they understood better than anyone. Who would have guessed that the boy who loved me all those years would cheat not long after we got married, and even let those filthy things be sent to me directly? "Why didn't you tell me earlier? You must have suffered so much alone," my mother cried, heartbroken. My father jumped to his feet, eyes red. "I'm calling that brat right now, him and his father. I want to know what kind of education their family gave him to behave like this." "Dad, don't call yet," I said, stopping him. My mother thought I was still reluctant to leave Adam, and she grew even more upset. "You silly girl, after what he's done to you, you're still trying to protect him?" "Adam is lying in bed with his secretary right now," I said calmly, "so he's not going to answer. As for Mr. Hart, we'll talk to him later." My voice was steady, as if I were talking about someone else's life entirely. My mother gasped. "Nora, are you so shocked you can't think straight?" "Mom, I'm fine. I just want to wait until Adam comes back to speak to the Hart family. I still have other things to handle in the next few days. Trust me, I won't let myself suffer any losses." After a long time calming them down, my parents finally settled. Meanwhile, Adam received a desperate call for help from one of his former close friends. He had just gotten off the plane with Lily. The woman on the other end cried for a long time before he hung up. Adam's expression instantly darkened. Only then did he realize something was wrong. He'd been away on his business trip for so long, yet Nora hadn't called him even once. That wasn't normal. Wasn't normal at all. And then he remembered how cold her voice had sounded the last time they talked. So she had found out about the gifts he'd given other women. Nora had been pampered by both families since she was little. No wonder she couldn't stand that kind of humiliation. But because she had always loved him so much, of course she must be furious now. The more Adam thought about it, the angrier he became. Those women had received so many gifts from him, yet they couldn't keep such a small secret. They let everything reach Nora, and still had the nerve to call him for help? Ridiculous. Adam immediately tried calling Nora, but she didn't pick up. Seeing his darkened expression, Lily spoke softly, trying to act cute. "Mr. Hart, is something wrong? I already told you, once we're back in the country, there's nothing between us." "Watch how you speak," he said coldly. Lily lowered her head, aggrieved. Adam no longer had the patience to pity anyone. He got into the car and told the driver to take him home, ignoring Lily running after him. Nora had even blocked his number. Adam let out a powerless laugh. This little girl had always been possessive since she was young. He didn't expect her to still sulk like this after all these years. It felt like he was back in their teenage days. Back then, if he so much as talked to another girl for a few minutes, Nora would pout and look annoyed. He had to coax me for a long time before I would smile again back then. "Sir? You don't have access. You can't enter," the driver said awkwardly as he stopped the car in front of the villa. He didn't understand why the gate, which normally opened automatically, was malfunctioning today. "Nora is just sulking. It's fine, I'll get out," Adam said with a bright smile. His little girl was even playing tricks now, locking the gate to stop him from coming home. He got out of the car and tried the fingerprint lock, but it failed. He keyed in the password and it still failed. Helpless, he called toward the house. "Nora, sweetheart, I'm back. Let me explain, okay?" Footsteps echoed inside the villa. Of course, his Nora was still the same as always, never truly able to stay mad at him. Every time she got upset, all he had to do was coax her and she would run out to open the door. Adam's smile froze when he saw who opened it. Who was this? Why was there a strange man in his house? "Are you the new housekeeper?" Adam demanded. The man, wearing casual loungewear, peeked outside. "What? Who are you looking for? Who are you?" Adam snapped. The man looked at him blankly. "You were just trying to break into the house. I should be the one asking who you are." Adam let out a cold laugh. "This is my house. Where's Nora? Did she ask you to pretend? Open the door. I don't want to talk to you." The man laughed too, pointing first at the gate and then at the villa behind him. "I don't know you, and I don't understand what you're saying, but I'm guessing you're looking for the previous owner. I don't know where they moved. I bought this place 3 days ago. Everything is completely legal." "That's impossible. This is my and Nora's newlywed home. How could it be sold to you?" Adam refused to believe it. The neighborhood security came after hearing the commotion. They recognized Adam and awkwardly explained that the man was indeed the legal owner now. Adam still didn't believe it. Out of courtesy to the security staff, the man opened the door to let Adam look inside. The villa held nothing that belonged to him or Nora. Adam stared at the empty rooms. No paintings on the walls, no curtains, no rugs, nothing left. The man glanced at him and let out a cold laugh. "I told you, the house was sold to me. But how could Nora possibly sell their newlywed home? Perhaps this time, he had truly hurt her to the bottom of her heart." Adam stumbled out of the villa like a soulless man. By the time he reached my parents' house, I had just finished a call with my attorney. My mother heard from the housekeeper that Adam had arrived, and she was furious, wanting to storm out and throw him out of the house. "Mom, let him in. Don't be upset," I said. Adam greeted my mother, but she didn't respond. He forced an awkward smile as he sat down in front of me, speaking in his usual tender voice. "I'm late. I made my Nora sad again." "No," I said softly, keeping my gaze lowered. Adam continued explaining. "Nora, nothing happened between me and those women. Those gifts were project rewards from the company. My assistant accidentally sent them using my personal account. I didn't tell you earlier because I was afraid you'd misunderstand." He had prepared that excuse well. After all, to him, I was just a pampered heiress who knew nothing about complicated company operations. And since I loved him so deeply and he had known me for more than 20 years, he understood exactly how to make me forgive him, quickly admit fault, and I would soften. That had always worked. But this time, I simply looked him in the eyes and asked gently, "Cloudville's scenery must have been beautiful, right?" Adam's face instantly changed. "Do you know," I continued, "you still smell like her perfume right now." Adam quickly tried to explain. "It must have rubbed off by accident. Nora, please don't misunderstand." "Do you know," I said, letting tears fall down my cheeks, "I called you so many times, I texted you so many times, but you never replied." My voice trembled with weakness and pain, an expression I had practiced in front of the mirror for a long time. From this angle, I looked the most pitiful. "Nora, don't cry. I can explain." Adam panicked. He reached out to wipe my tears, but I pulled away. I picked up my phone and opened the collection of messages I had carefully saved for years, every provocative text from his so-called close female friends, and showed them to him one by one. From the very first message, Adam's face turned pale. Then came the messages from Lily, from the beginning of their flirting 6 months ago, all the way to the ambiguous photos she had just sent. His face became as white as paper. Those photos and texts made his excuses look so shameless and ridiculous that it was almost laughable. "Nora, Nora." His hands trembled as he tried to touch me again, Ben. But I dodged. "They're all fake," he choked. "All of them are fake." Adam struggled in desperation. I said nothing, letting tears fall silently. "Let's get divorced." "No. I won't divorce you. Never." Adam burst out. He dropped to his knees in front of me, swearing, "Nora, that day I was drunk. I really didn't know, Nora. I never wanted to hurt you. Please don't divorce me." No, he was still making excuses, still lying. But that was exactly what I wanted. The more he begged, the more time it bought me to finalize the asset transfers. "Nora, Nora, don't divorce me, I'm begging you. I'll never make you sad again." After he pleaded for a long time, I finally pretended to soften. With a trembling voice, I said, "Just go. I don't want to see you right now. Let me have some quiet." But Adam refused to leave until my mother called the staff in and had him thrown out. The moment he stepped outside, I quickly wiped away my tears and waited for my attorney. When I was happily discussing details with him a little later, my mother thought I'd gone numb from heartbreak. But she didn't know that I had planned today for 3 whole years. The fruit was finally ripe. How could I not be happy? But when had I stopped loving Adam? Even I couldn't remember clearly. Maybe it was on a bright sunny afternoon, sometime after we entered college. Because we were in different departments, Adam and I could only meet briefly in the evenings after class. Later, when schoolwork got heavier, we only saw each other on weekends, but we still called each other every day. And the years we'd spent together didn't change because of distance. Every time we met, we never felt any sense of unfamiliarity. One day, I saw a confession written for Adam on our school's confession wall. But I trusted him and even teased him about it. Adam's handsome, rich, and charming. Of course someone would like him. I was confident and secure enough not to feel jealous. But during our rare moments together, I began to notice that another girl's name kept slipping into his conversations. I felt a little uneasy, but I didn't think too much of it until I saw a video posted by someone on the confession wall. The title read, "The boy I like is finally being honest." They're too sweet. I loved watching gossip, so I clicked it. In the video, a handsome boy and a sweet-looking girl were leaning close to each other, smiling as they talked. I didn't know what she said, but he smiled gently and reached out to pat her head. Their eyes were full of affection. The beautiful sunlight cast a rosy glow over them, making everything look sweet and dreamy, like the perfect scene of young love. If the boy in the video hadn't been my boyfriend, Adam, maybe I would have shipped them too. My hands shook with anger as I opened the comments. That was when I learned that the girl in the video was the same one who had confessed to Adam before. Adam had once said he didn't know her. But in the comments, someone wrote her name clearly, and that name. It was the same name Adam had been mentioning so often lately, so everything had shown signs long before. I staggered out of bed, rushed to the door, intending to run out and confront Adam, but I bumped straight into my roommate, who had just returned. Seeing how frantic I was, she asked, "Nora, where are you going?" "I'm going to find Adam." My roommate knew well the relationship between Adam and me. She hesitated for a moment, then grabbed my arm. "Nora, do you want to know what you look like right now?" My mind was a mess. Rage and the sting of betrayal made it impossible to think straight. Hearing her words, I just shook my head and tried to run out again. She held on to me tightly, pulled me back into the room, and pushed me in front of a full-length mirror. I lifted my head. Staring back at me was a face twisted with anger, hair in wild tangles, tears smudging everywhere, the top button of my sleep shirt undone, and one foot still without a slipper. "Who is that?" I stared blankly at the person in the mirror. The girl in the reflection looked just as dazed, but her contorted face was frightening. How could that be me? I had never looked so pathetic. Seeing me finally calm down, my roommate pulled me to sit and poured me a glass of water. Clearly, she had also seen the video on the confession wall. That day, I cried and cursed for hours until she gently said to me, "Nora, you're Nora Fox. You should always be confident, radiant, walking toward the light. You shouldn't turn into someone like this." Her family was very poor. Her education had always been a struggle. She worked part-time every day just to pay tuition. Later, with help from my family, she was fully sponsored for her school fees, and I even arranged a tutoring job for her at my friend's house. Last year, when her family faced trouble, I helped get her mother treated at a good hospital. Because of that, she was always deeply grateful and often said I was her little son. Now, hearing her words, I subconsciously turned back to the mirror. The girl in the reflection looked no less like a ghost, but my roommate was right. I was Nora Fox, the heir to the Fox family. I couldn't let my entire world revolve around Adam. I planned to talk to Adam over the weekend. After all, we had been childhood sweethearts for so many years. I genuinely liked him and once wanted to spend my whole life with him. But if he liked someone else, then no matter how angry I was, the right thing was to end things peacefully. But I never expected Adam to act like nothing had happened. Over the weekend, he brought my favorite cake, speaking and behaving with the same warmth as always. I didn't understand what he was thinking, so I asked him directly, "Adam, are you cheating on me?" He denied it immediately. I showed him the saved video. After watching it, he sighed softly, speaking in that gentle, pampering tone. "Nora, that's just the camera angle. There were a lot of people discussing things that day. Look closely, there are others there. My baby is jealous, isn't she? I'll be more careful. I won't let people misunderstand again." Adam was as tender as ever, his eyes full of affection, his hand on my head warm just like before. But I felt cold all over, like I had fallen into an ice pit. After 20 years of knowing Adam, 20 years, I finally understood that to him, I was nothing but a fool. That closeness, those gestures that meant nothing to him. His explanation was careless, full of holes. He didn't even try to hide it properly. If I had asked a few more questions, he would have exposed himself instantly. Seeing me stay quiet, he held my hand and said gently, "Nora, we're getting married eventually. You have to trust me." Getting married? Because we were definitely going to get married, he thought he could flirt with other girls freely? And after he was done messing around, I'd still be at home waiting for him to marry me? In that moment, the man I had loved for so many years suddenly felt rotten to the core. But I didn't immediately condemn him for it. I simply observed quietly. And then I discovered more girls who had ambiguous interactions with him. Not to the point of any real development yet, but their voices, their eyes, their gestures, all unusually intimate. As if they were announcing to me that Adam was that kind of man. I really had been both blind and stupid. It took me 20 years to finally see him clearly. Thinking back on everything between us over the years, the more I thought about it, the more disgusted I felt. From that day on, I secretly signed up for additional finance courses. I studied day and night because I didn't know whether Adam truly loved me or had other motives. The wealth the Fox family had built over generations absolutely could not be ruined in my hands. Fortunately, I had my roommate. After learning about my plan, she switched her major to finance. When she graduated, I arranged for her to work at Hart Corporation. After all, being the wife of the CEO, helping a friend get a suitable job wasn't difficult. I even deliberately asked Adam to take care of her more. So within the company, every move she made was under Adam's name. No one suspected me. No one suspected that the girl who was stupidly in love was capable of such things. Everyone had seen how deeply obsessed I seemed with Adam. Whenever rumors reached me, I still trusted my husband completely, never questioning him, content to play the role of Mrs. Hart. People said the Fox family's heiress was a crazy, lovesick girl, top student from a prestigious university, but she rushed into marriage right after graduation, happily became a housewife, never caring about her own family's large corporation, and handed every major project over to her husband. They said Adam would inherit both Hart Corporation and Fox Industries, and when that happened, the two families would merge into one. This rumor had spread throughout high society since the day I married him. Everyone silently agreed that Fox Industries would soon be swallowed by Hart Corporation. Because of that, all the seasoned chairmen hurried to cooperate with Adam, hoping to secure their advantages early. When Hart eventually absorbed Fox, they would get a share of the benefits. Their logic wasn't wrong, only that they chose the wrong person. Because now, the two companies really were about to become one. But it wouldn't be Hart Corporation. It would be Fox Industries. My Fox Industries. Nora Fox's. All of Adam's assets, along with his shares in Hart Corporation, after the evidence and agreements were reviewed by my attorney, would be transferred completely into my name. And after marriage, every time one of his mistresses tried to provoke me, I would choose one of Hart Corporation's profitable projects and subtly mention that Fox Industries wanted to collaborate as well. Men who cheat are the easiest to guilt trip. And so most of Hart Corporation's lucrative projects ended up in Fox Industries' hands. Adam never suspected a thing. Afraid I'd misunderstand him, he always agreed quickly. After all, our families were so close. What did it matter whose hands the projects were in? I had been acting for 5 years, acting so well that all my friends believed I loved Adam to my very core. So passionately that when the two families arranged our marriage, no one even thought of signing a prenup. So passionately that Adam, before and after marriage, didn't guard himself at all. I even made sure to prove my love and sincerity in front of both families, and Adam signed a premarital agreement. In it, he promised that if we ever divorced, for any reason, he would leave with nothing. And he even added an extra clause. If the divorce happened because of his fault, then all of his shares in Hart Corporation would be transferred to me unconditionally. That year, Adam was 22. He held my hand, eyes full of love, and said, "Nora, I swear I will never betray you. This agreement will never take effect. This is my promise to you. You will always have a way out." And what did I do back then? Oh, I remember I cried my eyes out. I had been so touched back then that I threw my arms around him, refusing to let him sign that unlucky agreement. But he remained firm. In front of both families, he personally signed it. Both families then even took the agreement to be notarized. When we received the notarized copy, I pretended to pout, saying we should lock that unlucky document away in a dark room. The adults laughed and teased me for still acting like a child despite being so grown up. After that, no one ever mentioned it again. Even Adam forgot. But in my hands, I still kept the original. He had no idea that after receiving it, I had stored it in my private safe, encrypted with multiple layers of security. It was the grave he had dug for himself, and of course I had to protect it carefully. When my attorney arrived again with a thick stack of documents, I reviewed each item thoroughly. When I saw that even Hart Corporation's newest project had already been transferred to Fox Industries, I couldn't help laughing. "Ivy, you even managed to take this one?" The girl beside me laughed too. "Small or big, it's still meat. President Hart worked so hard during that business trip just to win this project. How could we let his effort go to waste?" Ivy was my old college roommate. She had worked inside Hart Corporation with me for years. We coordinated perfectly, close like real sisters. She had always been grateful for how I helped her back then, but in truth, she was the one who saved me. If she hadn't pulled me back that day, helping me regain clarity, I might have spent my life trapped in that blind fantasy, and in the end, my husband would cheat while the Fox family fell into someone else's hands. When I was young, maybe I could have been Mrs. Hart, but after beauty faded and years passed, I would be shoved aside. My entire life would have become a joke. I finished reviewing the documents and signed my name. Ivy was now a senior manager at Hart Corporation and held some shares. Over the years, she had quietly bought small scattered stocks, and now she transferred all of them to me. At this point, the shares I held had already surpassed Adam's father's holdings. I patiently waited a few more days before finally receiving the court's ruling. Because of the premarital agreement, and because Adam was the one at fault, the court granted the divorce immediately. The moment I received the verdict, I called for an emergency shareholder meeting at Hart Corporation. At that time, Adam was still standing outside my house holding flowers, declaring he would win me back, begging for forgiveness. During the meeting, Adam's father looked at me with a distant, unfamiliar gaze, as if he had never known me at all. When I presented the projects currently under Fox Industries' control, as well as the remaining Hart Corporation projects, the shareholders exchanged looks of silent understanding. They only cared about profit. Whoever brought them money was the person they would support. After finishing my presentation, I smiled and looked around. So does anyone have any objections regarding the new chairman? Except for Adam's father, every shareholder stood with me. After all, every major collaborative project of Hart Corporation currently had Fox Industries' fingerprints on it. If Fox Industries turned hostile, Hart would collapse instantly. Nora, after all, we're still family, Adam's father said hoarsely, sounding like he had aged 10 years in mere minutes. I'm sorry, Mr. Hart, I replied. This morning, Adam and I already finalized the divorce. At this moment, the only relationship between me and the Hart family is business. Only then did he remember the agreement from years ago. But Nora, Adam didn't do anything wrong. The court wouldn't approve the divorce unless... I smiled and tossed him a stack of documents. If Adam sleeping with his secretary doesn't count as being at fault, then I have nothing more to say. Adam's father was speechless. He stared at the pile of documents, so furious that his hands trembled. Adam was summoned to the company, and the moment he arrived, he was harshly scolded. He had no idea what was happening until he saw the court's ruling. Only then did he completely break down. No way! How could the court rule like this? I never received any notice. This is fake, I'll sue. But the judgment clearly stated that he had been informed of the divorce petition and the fault-based lawsuit, and that he had expressed no objection. Therefore, he no longer had the right to appeal. I never saw any notice. Adam shouted as he stumbled away to find me. Nora, you didn't send me the agreement, right? You're lying to me, right? No, I sent it, I replied, smiling as I signaled my assistant to stop him from coming any closer. My smile was gentle but calm. The night you slept with your secretary, I sent the agreement. The evidence clearly shows you received it and raised no objections. Every trace of color drained from Adam's face. He suddenly remembered. Yes, I did ask him whether he had received it that night, but he had never seen it. No. While he was showering, Lily must have touched his phone. That woman. Adam collapsed onto the floor, hatred for Lily burning down to his bones. His father, furious, kicked him and yelled, "Useless, apologize to her right now." I didn't bother watching their pathetic performance. I said calmly, "You've seen everything. Just the sight of Adam disgusts me now. He should resign on his own. He needs to leave Hart Corporation and never appear before me again. I guarantee your share of the profits will remain intact, but if not..." I tapped lightly on the resignation papers on the table, my voice cold. Then Hart Corporation doesn't need to exist anymore. Now, Adam, come with me to complete the divorce procedures. That finally snapped him back to reality. He tried again to apologize, to cling to me, but his father slapped him so hard his face jerked to the side. What now? Do you want to destroy this family too? Adam's father personally dragged him away. Bookmark. After the procedures were completed, Adam stared at the divorce certificate in disbelief, mumbling, How? How could this happen? Nora loves me so much. How could she really divorce me? I didn't bother to look at him. I turned and went straight home. Not long after, the lawsuit to reclaim the marital assets was also decided in my favor. I received the full settlement amount. Finally, I told my parents the truth about everything I had done over the years. My mother cried non-stop, Part heartbreak, part guilt. My father, who had spent decades in the business world, complained for a bit, then immediately began preparing for me to take over Fox Industries. I was busy taking over the company, transferring shares, meeting partners, attending banquets. Ivy, now the second largest shareholder of Hart Corporation, was busy right alongside me. We were exhausted, but the feeling of having both money and power in my own hands was exhilarating. At events, no one called me Mrs. Hart anymore. Now they called me Chairwoman Fox. No one mentioned the foolish, love-struck Fox heiress. I was no one's shadow, and I would never lose myself over a man again. When I heard Adam had gone to prison, I had just signed a major contract with a government agency. At first I thought it was just a rumor. But when the official announcement came out, I learned the truth. After discovering that Lily had deleted the messages that caused him to be forced into divorce, Adam believed she had ruined his marriage and gotten him expelled from Hart Corporation. In his rage, he pushed her down the stairs. She died instantly. I simply sighed a few times, then quickly turned my attention to the new project Ivy had just brought in. All those things from the past no longer had anything to do with me. Just like Ivy had told me years ago, I, Nora Fox, was born to walk toward the light. And that's where the story ends.